Hello everyone, welcome to class 12 of problem solving through C programming NPTEL lecture. So, in today's class we will be discussing about the dynamic memory allocation, and we will see some examples how we will actually do this dynamic memory allocation in C programming by using malloc, calloc and realloc methods. And then we will be looking into how do we actually handle files through C programming, and we will just have a quick demo on how do we actually use pointers in pointers in structures, and we will see some examples, and finally we will have a quiz. So let's get started. Let me try to share my screen instead of whole screen instead of this one. So okay. So as we already know, we have learned about static memory allocation in our previous classes. So we have seen how do we allocate uh, integers, and how do we allocate integer variables, and how do we allocate memory through memory to structures. That means the combination of different data types, and then how we allocate memory to the arrays, a series of elements of similar data type. So this all these things that we have learned is kind of static memory allocation, because we are trying to allocate memory during the compile time. So whereas if you are trying to allocate memory during the runtime, so the compiler don't know that how much memory that we need, that it has to allocate. So such a kind of memory allocation is called as dynamic memory allocation. So that will be done at the runtime. So one of the problem with the static memory allocation is that you can't increase the size. So let's say you are trying to enter a employee details through a C programming language. So you want to do some computation on employee salary. So initially you thought that you assigned a size of array as 100. So when the size of employees is more than that 100, so you need to let's say you need to recode that, you need to redo that thing, and you need to compile the program again, and then you need to run it. So so in order to avoid such kind of scenarios, in dynamic memory allocation, you will try to assign the memory or allocate the memory during the execution of the program. For example, the example for static allocation is array. So we have seen that thing in the previous classes as well. Whereas usage of linked list, so that means data plus link to the another element. So we have not seen that particular thing in this course, but a linked list is a kind of data structure where will be a data and link. So data and pointer are together, which will reference to the another next data, next value. So that is called as linked list. So that is a example for dynamic memory allocation. So in C programming language, we have 4 to 5 methods that we need to understand about dynamic memory allocation. So that broadly malloc, calloc, realloc and free method. So all these methods are written in stdlib.h. So we need to include that header file whenever you are trying to use that methods. So before we jumping into the program, so we will try to learn about the syntax of malloc, calloc and realloc, and we will do some examples for each program, and then we will go to the next topic. So first thing is malloc. So in this malloc, it is a kind of dynamic memory allocation function that is provided by C compiler. So it is there in stdlib.h. So sorry, it will try to do is it will dynamically allocate memory, and it will we will have a garbage value initially whenever we don't assign any value to that particular thing. So by default that will be the data which is there in that memory location will be garbage value. So if the memory is not allocated, so the malloc function will return null, otherwise it will return some value. So the syntax of malloc function will be like this. So we need to assign this malloc to a pointer so that we can access the this particular memory through a pointer, just how we typically do in other array or some other structure programming language. So based on that pointer, we will be doing all the operations in that dynamic memory which is allocated during the runtime. So this is the typical syntax of malloc function. So you need to tell the number of size byte size that you need for your program, and you need to typecast it. So the typecasting means whether it is an integer type or float type or character type. So whatever the type, you need to tell the compiler on the runtime so that it will be allocated and that will be assigned to a pointer. So what I will try now is that I will try to execute a sample program. So this is the sample program which depicts the typical example of a malloc. So we initially included the stdlib.h header file. So in the main function, I have declared an integer pointer, and this is the typical usage of malloc function. So we are telling the program in the runtime that okay, I just need here n is typically 0. We are asking the user how many numbers you want to access in this thing. So based on that particular number that was provided by the user, so we will dynamically assign the malloc. So we will unlike the static allocation in the array, we don't know the number of size that we are using, right? So here what we will try to do is we will take the input from the user and we will allocate that much amount of memory during the runtime. So we are in the malloc function, we will take a one argument which is the memory size. So here we are telling that okay, we need size of int will be by default 4, and we are requiring n such elements. So if it is a 4 byte, 4 into number of elements that we are trying to enter, and that will be typecasted to a integer because ptr is a integer pointer. So that will be assigned to ptr. So the program will what the program will do is like it will check whether the memory is allocated or not. So if the memory is unallocated, it will try to just simply print that statement and it will exit the program. Otherwise, it is letting the user to enter the values. So every time when the So every time when the program we are trying to enter the element, and by using the PTR we are trying to calculate the sum of the elements that the user has entered, and finally after usage we are trying to free the memory location. So that is called as free function. By using the free function, we are trying to deallocate the memory that is got allocated to this particular program. So usage of free is not mandatory, but it is highly recommended that whatever the memory that you have utilized, it is a good programming practice that you deallocate that memory and make it available for the other programs or other maybe not here it's not a big deal, but maybe you are trying to do a inter-process communication where there is a when two or more process trying to execute or access the same memory location. In such cases there might be problems. So it is a good programming practice that you always deallocate the memory that you have used after your programming. So for that we are using this free function. So let's try to compile this program and see how it works. So clang malloc -o So here I am here the programming asking how many numbers that you want to enter. So let's say if I say 5. So till now the program has not assigned any memory to this particular program. So the moment we enter the 5, based on this 5, so integer size of integer will be 4. So 4 5s are 20 bytes will be allocated to the PTR. So let's see, 1 2 3 4 5. So based on the program you will allocate, so it will dynamically take. So let us consider another. So you can see based on your input, the data will be dynamically allocated to the program. So this is the typical example of malloc. So now we will try to understand what is calloc and what is the subtle difference between malloc and calloc. So here the calloc is more or less functionally same. In the function wise, the calloc will also try to allocate multiple blocks of requested memory as per the programmer's requirement during the compile time, during the runtime dynamically. But the subtle difference between calloc and malloc is that calloc will try to initialize all the bytes to 0. So by default it will be initialized to 0. In the malloc it will not be initialized to 0. By default it will be some garbage value in that thing. So that is the only fundamental difference between malloc and calloc. So the syntax will be more or less same. So instead of malloc you are trying to you are trying to allocate the memory using the calloc, but we have to give the byte size and the number as well. So here only we need to give the byte size. So let's see the program regarding the calloc. So the subtle difference here is that you just need to give the size of bytes memory you need to assign, but here you need to tell them that okay, how many number of things that you need, and you need to define the size as the 2 parameters, unlike the malloc. So that is the more or less the same difference between malloc and calloc. By default here the value will be initialized to 0. So if you can see this program, here also we are doing the same thing, just we are assigning the memory to through calloc function. So here also if the PTR is null, so the program will terminate by default. Otherwise we are trying to ask the user that okay, you enter the values, and based on the values we will be counting the sum, and the sum will be displayed, and after the usage we are trying to free the memory. So this is the typical example for calloc. Let me try to clean it and rerun the program. clang. So here I am 6 1 2 3. So the sum will be 21, and here also we are successfully able to create the memory and assign it to a pointer, integer pointer, and based on the integer pointer we are trying to access the memory location and assign values to that memory location. So this is the typical example of calloc. Now what we are trying to do is, let's say you assign some value to a program in the runtime, and you want to reassign the value maybe in the later part of your program. Maybe it's for the user requirement, or it may be some other, because of some programming constraint, so you have to resize the memory that you have allocated previously. So in such cases we are trying to use the realloc function. So the realloc function is if the memory is not sufficient for malloc and calloc, so you can reallocate the memory by using realloc. So realloc function. So this is the typical example for realloc. So here it will take the PTR, which is already the pointer, the memory allocated to that pointer through malloc or calloc. So we are trying to resize that, we are trying to expand or compress the size of that particular function by using the realloc. So typical syntax will be like this. So we will try to look into examples so that you will get a clear clarity. So initially, let's say in my main program I have defined the integer pointer and I have initialized it to 0, and So initially I have assigned a value as 5. So we are assigning it to f. I mean, we say that okay, we need, okay, who is it? So initially we are assigning a value of 5 to PTR, and in the real arc function, so we are trying to increase the size, that particular size, to 10, so that we need to expand that particular pointer, so that we need to we can read more numbers. So this is the typical example. Initially the malloc, the initial dynamic allocation will be 5 for storing 5 integers. Now we are trying to reallocate that to 10, and then we are trying to, if the memory is reallocated, after that we are trying to read the values from the user, and then we are trying to print the sum. So this is the typical example for real arc. So let's try to run this code. So first we are saying that okay, memory can be created. So initially it was 5, and it was, now memory got created, so it was waiting for the user input. So let us try to enter 1 2 3 4 5. So initially it has to stop here and execute the program, but because of the real function, we are trying to the program will try to take more number of values, I mean 10 values, and print the sum. So this is how we typically use real arc function in our C programming language. And so this is all about dynamic memory allocation that you need to understand. So the high level idea is that how you need to use malloc, calloc, real arc, and free functions. So this is all about dynamic memory allocation. So the next thing that I would like to discuss is about file handling in C. So in order to handle a file, so that means you have to open some file and do some operations. So what is the procedure? So in order to do this, so in the C programming language, there is a series of steps that you need to do. So first, if you want to create a file, you need to create a file or open a file by giving the file name in the specified path. So you can open the file in various modes. So read mode, that means you can only read the value, but you can't write the value. W means write mode, so you can write the value. Append means already you are trying to add the values to the existing file, so there you can use append, append mode. So you can open the file in append mode. So typically we use f open to open the file, and f close to close the file. So if you want to scan, I mean read from the file, you need to use either fscanf or fgetS, or similarly if you want to write to a file, you can use fprintf or fputf. So, and if you want to move laterally to a specific location and do some operations over there, we can use fseek to that particular value. So this is how file handling will be there. So in this example, I would like to just try to scratch the basics. So we are trying to open a file, create a file, and write some data onto the file, and then in the second program we will try to read the values that we have written. So that is what I would like to explain in this class. So you can explore, you can always explore more about this, so it's not a big deal. So for the time being, I will just try to create a file. So here you can see that in my explorer, there is no file. We are having all the C files. So in this write program, what I am trying to do is I am creating a file pointer, then I am trying to use fopen function. Okay, I got some question. Okay, good evening. So we are trying to open that particular file, programming.txt. So because that particular file is not there, so it will try to create that file and open it in a write mode, so that we can try to write some data onto the file. So once that file is open, so fopen will return a pointer, and if the pointer is not null, then if the pointer is null, then we are trying to exit the program by printing the error. Otherwise, what we are trying to do is we are trying to use fprintf. So we are trying to read some value from the user input, and we are trying to uh, write it onto that particular file. So you can see that we are trying to read a number from the user, and then we are using fprintf, so which is used to write the data onto the file. So we will use fprintf to write the data that was that actually taken from the user dynamically, and we are trying to write that data to the file, and we are trying to close the file. So the moment I run this program, you can see that there is a program.txt will be created. So here I have just given program.txt, so the file will be created in this particular location. But if you want to write the data onto a specific location, so you can always give /home/ something. So that is as per your requirement. So that is per your requirement. So let's try to quickly run this program and understand what it is, how it works. So let me clear the screen. So as you seen here, so there is no program.txt here. So now we are trying to create such a file and write the data to that file. So clang write.c -o. So we don't have any file here, so we just have a write.c. So the moment, so see, you can see that program.txt is created here. So now this is empty file. So I'm saying we can enter a value called 123 here. Excuse me. So this value will be written and the file will be closed. So the program.txt has 123. So I wrote another program, so I don't want to see it manually. So I want a program which can able to open that particular file, and I need to read the data which is already there in the file. So this is the typical example. So we are creating another file pointer here. So and we are trying to open the file in the read mode, so that it will be open in the read mode. So you can't write any data to that file, you can just read the data that is already there in that file. So if it is null, that means the file pointer is null, that means the file is not, because of some reasons the file is not able to, program is not able to open the file. So we will print the error opening the file and exit. Otherwise we are trying to use a function called fscanf, which is used to, okay, who is it, which is used to read the data which is already there in the file. So typically we are supposed to get the value as 123. So we are using that file pointer and we are reading the data from that file pointer. So finally we are printing that value which is there in the num. So then we are trying to print the value which is which we got from that particular scanf. So that means we are trying to read that value from through fscanf, and we are trying to print it on the user console, and then we are trying to close the file. So let's try to compile this program. Clang so you can see that, so we are able to open that file and we are able to read that value using fscanf, and we are putting that value in the number and we are trying to print the number. So that's what this program will typically do. Yeah, I think.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, we cannot make a complete program to open and read write both for a single file.
You can do that. You can do that, and you can do that. That is quite possible.
And if we put string also in that, we use only numbers.
Yeah, you can use string, and if you are using string, then you can probably use fgetS or fputs to read the data in the form of string and then you can read it. So I just try to give you a simple example, that's why. So my intention is not here to read the data and write the data. So I just want to show you how you can open the file and close the file, in between you do some operation. So how do we do it in C? I just want to give a glimpse, that's it. Okay, so okay, let me go back to the code. So I think you are good to go with this example. So this is quite simple and you can dig more onto it. So just the basic fundamental thing that you need to understand is that you need to open the file in a, and you need to make sure that the file pointer is not null, and then you need to do some operations, either write or read, and then after that, after your operations are done, you just need to close the file and get out from that particular program. So this is what you need to understand from this whole program. And so that's all about file handling. Now we will try to see pointers in structures. So I don't have any theory to explain, so we will directly jump into this program. So as we already seen in the previous classes, we have seen how to create a structure by using different by clubbing different data types together, and here we have created a sample structure of a person which is having integer age and float weight. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a pointer, structure pointer. So you can see that struct person star person pdr and person 1. So we are creating two pointers. Okay, there is somebody. So we are creating two pointers. So what we are trying to do is we are assigning the address of this particular structure to this pointer. Then we are trying to enter the age, and this is how we typically access the values that are there in a pointer, I mean structure pointer. So the person ptr is a structure pointer, and then we are trying to assign age of we are trying to access the age. So initially we are trying to read some value and we are trying to assign the value to that particular structure age, the person age, and similarly we are trying to take the value from the user, that is person weight. This is how we can use. So and we are assigning the value to that particular thing, and then we are trying to display those values. So this is very simple program. So typically you can understand this one. So clang struct pointer hyphen o struct. So what it will try to do is it will create a structure pointer and it will assign that particular structure address to this one. So you can access all the variables, and you can access all the variables, you can read or write the data to the structure through this pointer. So that's what I would like to show. So here we are trying to read the age, so which is of 23 and weight is 168. So after reading you can see that the values will be displayed by using the pointer values. So this is how we typically use structures, I mean pointers in structures. So this is more or less that I would like to discuss in this class. So let's try to take a sample quiz. So let me try to share the screen or tab. Okay, let's start from the first question. So which of the following are themselves as a collection of different data types? So
these structures.
So you can type the answers. Okay. So the right answer is fairly simple. So it is structures, because as we already know, structure is a collection where we can embed different data types together. So this is the fundamental concept, because based on these structures only, maybe in the object oriented programming languages they have included the, here we are just using the data, but the data with the functionality clubbed together is trying to become a class which we can learn. Maybe you can learn it in the object oriented programming language. So this is C is not an object oriented programming language. There is no concept called class in this particular thing, because there is no club of data and functions together. So later in the C++, they came up with this idea that okay, every object in the real world is having some intuition of data and functionality. So as a human, let us consider a class. So human is a class, let us consider a human. So we all have height, weight, money or education. So all these are data that is attributed to a human, which is common. And the functionality, humans can eat, humans can drink, humans can work, humans can learn. So all this is functionality. So if you club this data and functionality together, so that will become a class. So C is not having the capability to club these things together, but these structures that we have learned here is the basic fundamental building block of a class, where we can club these things together. So whenever you initialize this class, it will become an object. So I am an object of a human class. So Charan is an object of a human class. So likewise, Divyansh Kumar is an object of human class, or Arshad is a object of a human class. We all share the same thing. I mean, functionality and we same thing. I mean, functionality and data together, but the values initialization will be different. Okay, from that intuition, they came up with in the C programming language, and even in the now modern programming languages like Python and Java and all these things. So we can see that the mixture of data and functionality together. But the basic thing that here we need to understand is how do we learn and use the structures which is having different data types together. So that is simple to answer. So let's try to answer the second question. So which one of the following comment about the usage of structure is true? You try to answer them and let other think as well. So don't try to unmute yourself. So I will ask if I have any questions, so then only you can unmute and tell the answers. Otherwise you can comment, always comment it in the chat box. Which of the following comments is which of the following comments is true about the usage of the structure? Okay, I am getting three answers. Okay, okay, okay. So Ronsia, can you please tell why it is C? Ronsia, are you there? Okay, so the right answer is I guess I guess C, because the scope of the members is confined to a, you know, particular structure. So within which it is defined. So you can't initialize the values to the structure within the B is obviously right, obviously wrong, because you can't initialize the data within the structure, and the storage class can be assigned to a individual member is also wrong. So the C is right answer. So let's try to move into the another question. So let me try to zoom it. Okay, can we declare function inside? So you should be able to answer this question, I guess. Can we declare a function inside the structure in the C programming language? Yes, no, or compiler dependent, or it is possible but it causes runtime error. What is your take on this?
Maybe not.
Okay, Arshad is saying that it's no. So any other answer?
Sir, we declare functions inside structures.
How? How you can declare functions inside the structure?
So by defining variables,
Mm-hmm. By so functions is different, right? So declaring variables, you can define data. So you can say that okay, integer is there, so you can declare integer, you can declare float, you can club these things together inside the structure. So that is clubbing data, not functions, right? So you never define any function int do something and with the parentheses. So that is not possible in C programming language. That's what we have discussed from the last few minutes. So the right answer for this question is no, option B, because you can't you can't declare a function inside a structure, because it is not object oriented, whereas this same thing can be true and applicable for object oriented programming languages, typically like Java or C++, or Python and everything. But here it is C. In C, it is not allowing to do that swing. So it is wrong. So option B is right answer. So Rahul, are you able to understand? Got my point?
yes, sir.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's go to the next question. So
Compilation error.
how you are able to tell without seeing the full question? So what will be the output? So we have declared a structure and we have assigned some values, and then we are trying to access that values outside the structure. So we initialize the structure and then we are trying to print the values. So what is wrong in this program, or what it will try to print? So whether it will print what initially it was supposed to print IIT2. Yeah.
No, it's give a compilation error because we use a percentage %t for a string in printf function, and this question is in previous class on Monday.
Okay. It was okay. It was no, maybe I don't know, but the the thing which I understood is it's not because of, I mean, it will throw compilation error, that is true partially, but the explanation for that thing is wrong, I guess. So inside the structure you can't directly, you know, assign the values, because you know, when you define a structure, uh, Arshad, so you are trying to tell the compiler that okay, I need this much amount of memory, and I will be using it in the later case. So at that moment, you can't directly tell the compiler to assign values to it. So after the structure is declared, then you can access it. So inside the structure, assigning a values is not valid. So that's why it will throw the compilation error.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I forgot this thing.
Yeah, so that is the thing. So the option D is right. So but the logic is, the reason for that thing is different. Okay, inside the structure you are not supposed to assign values after the structure. So I hope everybody got this thing right. Oh, are you guys feeling that this is last class or not? So you can type. I can see it in chat box. So let's go to fifth question. So what is the difference between structure and union? So I hope this is quite easy, because in the last class we have discussed about it, and we have discussed in depth actually. So I have shown you some examples as well.
B.
Okay, the Marshad is saying it's D. So any other answers?
D नहीं.
B. Oh, I see. Okay, so let me ask somebody who is Avinash. Are you there? Or Pritesh? Okay, so maybe okay, Rahul is saying that it's B. So the option B is right answer, because it union takes less memory, which is true, because it will allocate the value which is having the highest biggest data type in that particular structures in the union. So it is way more memory efficient than structure. So that's why that subtle difference between here is that union takes less memory. So let us try.
Sir, but UN is also slower than the structures.
No, it's not. You can't compare in terms of. So it is just allocation of memory, right? So you can't tell that which one is faster. So no, the union is fast is. I think it's not a true. How you can say union is faster?
No, union is slower than structure.
How? Why?
I think so, because in our class explaining that union take the biggest memory element, the
Okay.
biggest size of any element when
Okay.
structure. And structure stores a particular memory for each element, and that will give more precisely accuracy for time cycles.
No, the memory is not memory. So here we are talking about data, assigning the data to that particular location. So it is independent of the CPU cycles and all this stuff. So let's say if you assign 10 bytes in the you take a structure with integer, float and char. So you will have integer 4 bytes, float 8 bytes, plus character 12 bytes. So 8 plus 4, 12 plus 1, 13. Whereas if you take union, so float is having is, so it will having 8 bytes. So in terms of accessing the data, union you can access only one variable at a time, and structure also you can assign values to multiple things, but you can use the program just like how you use union. So it is not a as per my understanding and as per my knowledge, so there is no such thing called accessing faster and accessing slower. So here we are just trying to uh, measure it in terms of memory. So memory usage for storing. So unions are taking less memory when compared to the structures, which is proof, but there is no valid proof that structures will be slower and unions will be faster, as per my knowledge. So,
Okay, okay.
let's try to.
Compilation error again.
Okay, why you think it's a compilation error?
We use and 10 rather than allotting a variable to it.
Okay, why? So why and 10 will not be used?
Because we cannot give a memory name to it. It is an integer value.
Okay, so 10 is a constant value, so you can't assign address of a constant to a thing. So it which will hold true if you assign p equal to ampersand of a. Okay,
Yeah.
I hope everybody got that thing, which is the issue in that code. So the answer will be compilation error D, because you can't actually access the address of a constant. So 10 is a constant, so the integer pointer will able to deal with, it can able to store the address of another integer. Okay, address of another variable. So that's why it is compilation, it will throw the compilation error. So let us try to answer this question.
D is to
Okay, what is what about this thing? Anybody would like to answer this question? Okay, Saurabh, Rahul, Chandu. So anybody would like to answer about this one?
D.
Oh yeah, I know you answered it.
Okay. Sir, it will be B, sir, because
Hmm.
here first we are accessing STU.
Mm-hmm.
So, and S2 is stored in S1 and S1 is STU.
Okay.
So, S2 will be an answer. I think B will be the option.
Okay, so you are right. So here we are thinking about S2 equal to S1. So we are assigning one structure to another structure. So which is obviously true and which is valid. So the same value S2 will be replicated to S2 as well. So when you print S1 dot name and S2 dot name, you will get to STU. So you are right. Both of you are right. So option will be, answer will be option 2, I mean option B, STU. So let us try to answer this question. So
C.
how come you are such a fast today and you joined the class late as well?
Yeah, I revised the question in previous class.
Okay, okay. Sangram Chauhan. Sangram ji, can you tell why it is C? Anybody would like to answer why it is C apart from Arshad? Okay, so let me try to answer it. So here we have assigned integer ARR of 3 equal to 5, 10, 15, and we are passing that ARR 3 equal, I mean 3 ARR, sorry, my bad. So ARR 3 to this function, and which will consider that function as a pointer, and when we try to increment it, so just like how, I mean, you are not able to see the screen, right? So when you do ARR plus 1, the pointer value will be incremented to one position right side. So whenever it prints ARR 0, that means that will be 10. So which is call by value, and then whenever you print ARR 0, it will be another 5, and ARR 1 it will be 10. So 10, 5, 10 will be printed. Okay, so You got it? Why it is C? Or if you have any doubts, you can comment it in the. Okay, cool. So let's move to the, I think, final question of today's class.
I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell all of us.
Okay, thank you. So this one I would like to ask somebody. So Tushar, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So can you try to answer this question? So why it is, I mean, what is the answer and why do you think that that is true or false or compilation error or no output? What do you think? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Still. So anybody would like to answer apart from Arshad and Tushar? Tushar is taking some time. Lataji, can you try to answer this question? Okay, Saurav is saying it's yes. Saurav, can you tell why it is yes? Can you unmute yourself and tell everybody that why you think it's yes?
सर ये प्रीवियस वाला क्वेश्चन का आंसर
What?
ये प्रीवियस वाला आंसर का इसका आंसर मे बी फॉल्स
False. You said it's yes.
No, this
The
is the
answer
answer of the
is
previous question. You said you have a doubt, please.
okay. Okay, that's for the previous question. So इसका आंसर आपको, you know this answer?
For B false.
Okay, B false. You think it's B false? Okay, cool. So
Uh,
okay.
X equals to 5, size of P1 by 4, then X equals to 5 and 5 equals to if में जो condition है वो कभी भी equal नहीं हो सकता है.
Okay, I see. Okay.
5 equals to जो आएगा 6 आएगा, 5 equal to 6 नहीं हो सकता.
Okay.
So its answer should be false.
Okay, thank you. And Lataji, can you try to answer? Or somebody else? Noble?
Yes, sir.
Noble, can you try to answer it? Gaurav Maunya Sri Surampudi. Anybody apart from Arshad? So I will come last to you, Arshad and Rahul. So anybody apart from Arshad and Rahul would like to answer? Okay, let me. Arshad, you can go ahead if you have something to tell.
Okay.
Why it is true?
Because this will allot a memory first to integer, then a character, then integer, then a character.
Okay.
And when we simplify the calculation, they will print out the value of an integer. So they will print true.
Okay. It is true, but I am not fully satisfied with the explanation. So let me try to rephrase what you have said. So there is a structure which is having integer and character together. So
Sir,
okay,
uh,
who is this?
struct P1 equals to 121, then 1 should be assigned to int and 21 should be assigned to y, char.
No,
No.
no. It is structure. This P1 is array of structures. So in each structure, we are just assigning the values to integer variable. So by default, the structure size. So you don't need to worry about what it is there in the value. So by default, we are thinking that here we have assigned 5 values, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let us consider this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have 5 values. So by default, the structure size will be, let us consider, so integer is 4 bytes and character is 1 byte, so 5 bytes. So if you assign 5 such structures, so 4, okay, let me try to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by default, the structure size will be integer 1 and character equal to 4 plus 1, 5. So 4 5 into 5, 25. So when you divide 25 by size of P1, size of P1 will be 25. 25 by 4 is equal to 6. Okay, if you try to use the condition x equal to 6, which we are trying to see in the if condition, x value will be 6 and the size of integer will be 4 and 2 plus 2 into size of character will be 1. So 4 plus 2, that is 6. So 6 equal to 6 will be true and you will get the true as output. Maybe you got the answer, or let me try to re-explain that thing.
Yes, sir.
So should I explain it again? Anybody?
No. No.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so the idea here is that the structure is having 4 plus 1, so each one, so integer is 4 and character is 1. So if you create 5 such structures, so 5 5s are 25, right? So the size of P1 is 25 and when you divide it by 4, what you will get is 4 6 are 24, the x value will be 6, and which we are trying to compare with size of int plus 2 times size of char. So which is also equal to 6. Size of integer will be 4 and the 2 times size of character will be 2. So 4 plus 2, which is equal to 6, and we are trying to compare that with x, which is already 6. So by default, the print will be executed. I mean, the first printf will be executed and you will get the true. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's all for this class, and uh, um, in this lecture we try to basically learn about dynamic memory allocation and file handling, just a sample program how to read and write into the files, and we looked into the structures, pointers, how to access structures through pointers, and I think that's all for today's class, and we have it's been a 12 weeks. So in this 3 months of journey, it's been, I mean, it's a great experience to meet all of you guys, and try to, it's a mutual learning for me, and I learned a lot. So I will be prepared for every class, and you guys always try to come up with the questions, and you try to ask, and um some questions bit challenging to me, and it's a good experience altogether, and I think this is the final class for this whole tutorial session. So I think that's all from my end. I would like to hear if you have any questions, or if you have something to say, and if you want to know about something, I will be open to take few questions and for the discussions. Otherwise we can wind up this class, and don't try to hesitate. You can always try to drop me a mail to this one. Sorry, pv charan csc dot. So any tips for the to ace the final exam? So I don't like to, I would like to suggest you one thing: don't try to go, I mean, take exams this much serious. So I mean, it's not typically quote unquote, but my approach towards this class is like, so whatever the professor has taught in the class, I would like to deliver it in terms of practical programming learning. And I have seen couple of classes as well, other tutorial classes. So I don't want to be theoretical, and I want to let you guys get your hands dirty by writing some code and learn what you do as a beginner, and then you try to overcome that thing. And I mean, try to learn something by doing. So I always suggest everybody that even though after this class you might learn some other programming language or web development, whatever it is. So don't ever believe that whatever the instructor or tutor has said. So you try to learn it by using, writing some code, and then check yourself whether it's true or not, and then evaluate yourself why it is coming true and all this stuff. Okay, is there any other questions that I would like to take, otherwise we can wind up the class? Is there anything?
This will be the last class of this
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that learning things.
yeah. I am gonna miss you also. So you will be the first one usually coming to the class. I I know you. So yeah, but
I get,
sorry.
I get late because I'm outside of my home.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm like fixing my mobile.
Okay, okay, cool. So it's fine. So you can always, if you have any queries, you can drop a mail, and I will try to
Okay.
respond it as soon as possible. But maybe because of sometimes maybe bit you can, I mean, it will get bit delayed because of some other work. Otherwise I will try to respond ASAP. Okay, okay, okay guys, so that's all from my side. So I will try to share the videos and links together, but you can always go back to the channel and see what you can see. I mean, I have created a playlist, you can go through it. So you can always drop a mail, and I suggest everybody not to stop here. So try to learn some other programming language, object oriented programming language. So C is a stepping stone for every programmer. So uh, I wish you all the best for your final exams, and don't try to excel the exam, not only excel the exam, so try to do some programming as well in a frequent basis. So hope you will have a great evening, and that's all for this class. Uh, have a great learning. See you. Thank you
Thank
everyone.
you. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you are saying don't excel the exam. If you not excel the exam, then how would we like our sports TA like you? I want to get in one of the IAS team and teach some students someday.
Okay.
That's my dream.
Okay. So
Because I want that there should be good teachers like you are my favorite TAs out of the three. They are good also, but the things you are have said now, the very few teachers realize, especially in area which I live, in my schooling and in my college also.
okay. Thank you.
So I want to like more teachers to be like you, and so I want that. Why should I not try? We can together bring a reform in teaching in India.
So I mean, So what I can tell you is that Tushar, I also worked as a typical software employee before coming here. So I don't like that thing, and both my parents are teachers. So and and I want to be. I mean, I felt that software is not a typical. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. And then I moved to the academics, and I'm working here in IIT for last 4 years. So if you want to become like a TA or teacher, so you should be passionate about engaging the students. So I always feel that if you get a chance to engage some bright young India for at least 30 minutes, I mean with full attention, then you might change something. I mean, you might uh, bring some change one day. So that's what I feel. And I honestly suggest you to build more skills, and then you give a gate and come back. I mean, come here for IIT or IIScs, and then you can influence a lot of people. That's what I can say you.
I was not, sir. I was saying that I would teaching like my hobby, but I would to like inspire that students that there are good teachers in this world also. That no teachers are like everyone. They some students like they are thinking that all teachers are like this. They are afraid of asking queries. So I want to loosen them that they can ask openly and enhance their creativity. They can open scopes to new venues. I want to pursue research. I am basically a chemistry student, so you can think that I am doing coding also
Yeah,
at the side.
yeah, you can, if you are interested in research, and if you want to teach, then you are always welcome in IITs and all these things. So you just need to crack gate and get into some good IIT. Or it's not about getting into IIT, you can teach anywhere. So it's not always obvious that you need to get into some IITs or NITs to get into some
But
teaching.
I
So
am planning for JAM or GATE. JAM, I think so. It's for BSc and GATE is for
yeah,
like
yeah.
BTech. But nonetheless, I will take both exams and
Yeah,
of
sure.
them then I will do net JRF anything. That time I am sure I would crack and try to reach the students in the world, like out of India also, and get back to India and work for our country.
Yeah, good thought. So keep me in touch. So if you have any issues, or if you need any suggestions, that's a good thing. Glad to know.
Thank you, sir.
Mm, okay. So uh, thank you everyone. Thanks for uh, all these things. So maybe we will be touching. I will be in touch with you through mails. You can drop me a mail. So once again, have a great evening. Uh, that's all for today's class, or that's all for this whole tutorial class for ESE, I mean NPTEL course. So I'm trying to stop here, and bye.
Thank you, sir. Have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
Thank you. Thank you.